Everybody, it's your boy Quinn here from Crowns and Buckets, and this is gonna be my first of hopefully like mini videos where I actually bring somebody onto this podcast type video and interview them. And my first ever guest on this segment is Leo Beas, who most of you Kings fans might be familiar with from Basketball Zones slash Cowbell Kingdom. And oh, it looks like he's here now. How's it going, Leo?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect, man. What's
All
up,
right.
brother? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually, gonna watch the Suns Lakers game once we're done. And I just wanted to start off with the first question. So, what is your position in the media as far as like with the Kings? Like, I've seen you interview players. I've actually seen you like talk to Luka Doncic. So, like, like you majored in sports journalism from University of Nevada, Reno, right?
Yes. But before I continue, you're kind of breaking up a little bit. I don't know if that's my wife. It's not my wife. I have a strong signal. And second, are you recording this with is the Skype call being recorded or do you have?
Yes, it's being recorded. Can you hear me through my microphone?
Yes. You're good now. Okay, perfect, man. Well, my position at Cowbell is just the day-to-day managing editor. Pretty much run the business side of things and also the content side of things, which are two vastly different things, but it keeps me busy. And my alma mater is the University of Nevada, Reno. Had a great time there. Went there for 4 years. I'm very proud of being an alum from that university. We'll always be part of the pack, man. And our basketball program is pretty solid. So is our football program, and I'm excited to see what they do this upcoming season for sure.
Now, which players, like, just from work in the media, like which players or which coaches have you gotten to know the most, whether they're current players or not?
Hmm. In terms of coaches, at least here in Sacramento, I would say Bobby Jackson. In terms of a
I
coach,
actually met him at it was the last Kings game before the pandemic started. I actually got to like he was walking by the tunnel. I'm like, hey, how's it going, Bobby? And like this was before COVID. I like shook his hand and like I got his autograph, and he seems like a really chill guy. And my first ever year following the Kings was the 2001-2002 season, where, as you know, he was a sixth man of that team,
right?
and it's working the franchise. So, what
And
about players? Like, which
and
players?
then And then another coach, I would say that's outside of Sacramento. I would say it's a player development shooting coach for the Miami Heat. A very good friend of mine, Rob Fedor, very popular on Instagram. One of the best shooting coaches in the entire world, I would say. He's
Well,
well
I mean,
respected.
look who he's worked with: Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, you name it.
Yeah, I'm super close to him. He's just a great guy overall and just a great coach, a great, brilliant basketball mind as well. In terms of players, I've had a lot of friends come and go with the Kings. Costa Koufis was a real good guy, real good friend of mine. Obviously, Buddy Hield, Bogey is a very good friend of mine as well. Just texted him the other day, congratulating him on a phenomenal performance with the Atlanta Hawks. Bielitsa, a very good friend of mine as well. Richaun Holmes, good friend. Um, so those types of guys I've been close to, and pretty gay. I remember I had a good relationship with him as well.
Nice.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, I try to, you know, build relationships with these guys, and obviously always keep it professional. I never really hold my tongue back in terms of if they're playing bad, I'm gonna say it. Like I'm not
Go
afraid.
for it.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to speak the truth or hold anyone accountable, honestly. And when they're playing well, I'm going to praise them as well. I just try to be as fair and balanced as most possible.
All right. Now, what year did you become a Sacramento Kings fan, or were you never really involved with the Kings until like you started working for the media?
I've been a Kings my whole life. So since I can remember as a young kid, just growing up, I just gravitated towards colors. Purple is my favorite color. So I just gravitated towards the Kings. They were the local team here growing up, and grew up in Stockton. So that was my
That's my
team.
mom's hometown.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, technically Manteca, but she lived in Stockton too.
Awesome. And now we have the Stockton Kings. So
Yeah, I can't wait to go to some games. And now my story is I actually started off as a Washington Wizards fan because I was 8 years old. I think it was 2001. My dad was driving me home from school, and he was like, "So big news came out today. Michael Jordan has come out of retirement. Would you have any interest in watching basketball this year?" So I mean, I started off following the NBA, but it wasn't until December of 2001. It was a Kings Celtics game, and from there on, I just full on became a diehard Kings fan. I've been a diehard Kings fan since 2001. I even have it tattooed on me, loyal since. Oh,
wow, that's awesome, man. Congrats.
and in the year 2011, while it was my senior year of high school, I clearly remember this. It's been 10 years when the Sacramento Kings were about to become the Anaheim Royals. Were you planning on being a Royals fan, or were you planning on switching to another team?
I was going to be a Kings fan no matter what. That's just the way I am. Growing up with the team, I've already invested more than half my life, being a fan. Same with the Raiders. I'm a diehard Raider fan.
Same here,
Just,
Kings
just,
Raiders.
just
Raiders.
because they moved to Las Vegas, that makes no difference to me. And I'm a Raider fan till the last day I stopped breathing on Earth. So.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly always thought Anaheim would have been a horrible destination to relocate to. I mean, I'm sure most people in Orange County are probably mostly Lakers, some Clippers fans. I mean,
Hmm.
even if Anaheim got an NBA team, I mean, would they even really have any fans at all? I mean, three NBA teams in just Southern California alone, I wouldn't want to relocate there if I was like in charge of a franchise.
I think Anaheim is a great place.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I mean,
Obviously,
I
you got
going to
Disneyland right there, and it's a real nice area. Real nice
oh yeah.
area. I think
I'm not denying that. And I go to Disneyland every couple of years. I
right.
usually save up myself.
I think LA or just SoCal in general is big enough to have three teams, so I don't think that'd be a problem. It's more so, like you said, will there be enough Kings fans because there's such a ton of Laker fans, and now there have been a rise of Clipper fans, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
always going to be Laker town.
yeah. Even like when the Clippers were contenders and the Lakers like went what 6, 7 years without making the playoffs. You know, the
Right,
Lakers were more team. That's just probably how it's always going to be. Or New York with Yankees and Mets fans. Now
right,
this the part I was looking forward to the most. I wanted to ask you about the upcoming draft. Like, which prospects are you most sold on, or which
right.
ones, or who do you think would like make the best fit for the Kings?
So right now, I am in the process of starting to release my draft prospect breakdowns. I
Nice.
I did that a lot in 2018 with the Luka draft. I did it in 2017 class as well. Didn't do it in 19 because the Kings didn't have a first round pick, and then didn't do it in 2020 either. But I'm back at it, grinding it, and so far, my first one will be Jalen Green. That should release
That would only
probably
be if our ping pong ball gets picked, because no way he's going to be available by 9. Which, by the way, for
right,
those watching, if you haven't up. The tiebreaker came out today. The Pelicans have 8 odds. The Kings 9. Who was it? Oh wait, no. The Magic have 8. Kings 9. Pelicans 10. That's how the tiebreaker turned out.
right, and the Kings couldn't beat out the Bulls for the eighth, but then that becomes the Magic's pick because of the big
Correct.
trade with Vucevic. But my first prospect breakdown is Jalen Green.
Oh yeah, I
Uh,
love Jalen Green.
my
You know
my
me being
second my second is James Booknight
a
from
Magic fan.
from
Yeah, I like him
UConn.
a lot.
He he could be a nice option at number 9 if they stay there. I think he ranges anywhere from 6 to 15. He's such a great scorer. Super high on his potential to be, Jordan Clarkson, maybe even better than him, but that type of player. And I'm also right now, currently, right before you got on this call, I was working on my Keon Johnson breakdown. So that'd be my third. That would be my third prospect breakdown, and then I just randomly just select prospects. I'm gonna try to get at least 15, hopefully 15 prospects, and yeah, I'm excited to, continue to dive into this upcoming draft because I see a lot of potential in it, but it's very top heavy. First five, first five guys I would say are locked in already. It doesn't matter who drafts from those top 5. We know who those top 5 guys are. So to me, the draft starts right. The NBA draft starts from number 6 and beyond. So.
Oh yeah. And now it's very obvious that the first 5 picks are going to be Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Suggs, and Evan Mobley. But after that, I think it's going to get really interesting. If the Kings do get their lot, I would just pray and pray that we get Jalen Green. I love his game. And, I was really impressed with what he did in the G League. I mean, mind you, that's much better competition than any D1 conference. And also,
For sure.
me being half Filipino, I think that would be awesome to have a Filipino player on the Kings. And he's somewhat local as he's from Fresno and went to high school in Napa.
Right. So yeah, like you said, it's very top heavy. We know who the first 5 guys are, and we'll see if Monty McNair can dial up another solid draft. I know I'm still, relatively high on Robert Woodward and his potential of being a nice
stood out in the G League. I think he got
right.
like G League honors if I'm correct.
Right. So I'm still pretty high on him becoming a solid role player for the Kings, and obviously there's a lot of variables that could lead Ramsey to become a good role player or not. I don't know him yet. Again,
on the Kings. I mean, he still has a full year until he's even old enough to legally purchase alcohol.
Right. He's super young. He's super young, super raw, very athletic, very athletic. So we'll see. I hope he pans out for sure. But again, I'm excited. So for people who want more information and more detailed breakdowns, definitely check us out on YouTube on the Basketball Zone Cowbell Kingdom YouTube channel.
There's actually 4 different players I kind of have my mind on for the 9th pick. The first pick, I mean, the guy who I'm the highest on as of right now is a player who plays the same position as Richaun Holmes, who he was an unrestricted free agent, and we're probably going to have to trade somebody in order to be able to afford to resign. He really came out and said he wanted a 4-year, $80 million contract, which means he'd make $20 million a season. But I'm really high on Alperen Sengun. He's drawing comparisons to Nikola Jokic. And the other players are Franz Wagner from Michigan, really sold him. Jalen Johnson from Duke, who he has a big flag as he quit on his team to prepare for the draft. And one guy who I'm not super high on, but I don't expect him to be like a Gordon Hayward-esque player, but I could totally see him somebody who could shoot to save your team. Corey Kispert from Gonzaga. Those are the 4 players I have in mind the most.
Yeah, Kispert is definitely an option for the Kings at 9 if they stay there. He is a great movement shooter.
He moves great without the ball.
Right. So if a guy like, say, Duncan Robinson will demand $20 million per season, Buddy Hield 23, Joe Harris 18. That's what these great shooters are getting paid for. And if you can get a very good one on a rookie deal, it makes a lot of sense. So I think the Kings are definitely a candidate to draft him at that spot.
And you don't have to go full on as far as the other 3 players I've mentioned, but do you really have any opinions whether you're high or low on Jalen Johnson, Franz Wagner, or Alperen Sengun?
I haven't really delved much into them, but I don't love them like that, to be honest.
Which
Again,
guy?
well, uh, both guys that you mentioned, you know, I'm not in love with them. I think that at number 9, if you draft there, I would look at Keon. I'd look at Book Knight. Book Knight is just such a great scorer. I know he's going to translate right away. I'm looking for a guy that's going to make an impact right away. And I'm not
Yeah,
trying to look for long-term projects because I want the Kings to make the playoffs.
exactly. That's
So it just depends on what the direction of the franchise is, and it seems like the Kings want to win this upcoming season, from what Monty said in his press conference.
and the last question I wanted to, or actually no, there's two more questions I have. What do you think the outcome would be for the Kings to sign Richaun Holmes? Like, you're probably a lot better than me as far as like knowing salary and cap room and things like that. But like, what do you think the Kings are going to have to do to resign Richaun Holmes? As he's already publicly said that he would like to stay in Sacramento. Well, granted, that was a while before he said he wanted an $8 contract.
To be honest, if I had to bet on it, I don't think he's coming back, only because the Kings don't have the the availability of offering him at least 15 million. I think that's what he's going to get, honestly. I don't see him getting 20. I don't see him getting 19. I don't see him getting 18. Anywhere from 15 to 17. I know Charlotte can offer him that. I don't think they'll
They
go over 18. Yeah, I just don't see anybody going over 18 for Rashawn. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I just mean
Oh
that
yeah, I mean I
in
love
terms of how the league is and how certain teams are capped if they offer any player a certain amount of money. I don't think he's going to command that. Obviously, his agent is putting those numbers out there, but they'll meet somewhere in the middle, like 15, 16. So that's where I think. But even at 15, the Kings have to do a lot of different things to create and open up that space. And whether or not they do it just in time for free agency, I'm not entirely sure. But it's going to be very interesting.
How
And
about like trading Harrison Barnes for a draft pick and maybe like a player on like a $10 million
just,
contract?
yeah, yeah,
I'd
that
honestly rather keep Rashawn than Harrison.
that could be
Only
one
Buddy.
avenue.
I'd look to trade Buddy. I mean, I'd look to trade Barnes before Buddy.
Yeah, so if you can find that type of deal, as you mentioned, someone who's making 10 million to subtract, from the 23 or 22 that both Buddy and Barnes are making, then that opened up some cap space for sure. But it's pretty difficult to. The thing is, I'm not entirely sure if the salary cap opens up on draft night, or if these teams are conducting business under last season's salary cap, which is interesting to just find out just for myself. So I don't know when the new season and the new cap starts. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to take that into account as well. How many teams can honestly absorb that type of salary, right? Which is a huge chunk of money. Like, who has that space right now? Um, so we'll see, man. Hopefully they can dial something up to get Rashawn, because if he leaves, it's gonna be a huge hole on our roster, man.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that gives me more of a desire to draft Alperen Sengun, which I know you haven't done that much research on him, but I'm really hot on him. He's drawing comparisons to Nicole. Those are never guarantees. As remember, people were comparing Dragon Bender to Kristaps Porzingis, and look
Right,
how that turned out. But
right.
are there any like center free agents you would have your mind on if they can't resign Rashawn? I mean, one who's come to mind for me was Nerlens Noel, who I've been following since he was in high school. I mean, he doesn't really play that much offense, but he could be like the heart and soul of your defense.
That's one option. That's one option that the Kings can head in. Another one is Andre Drummond, who
Oh, that would be huge.
probably won't sign with the Lakers.
Yeah, because he
One, because
probably
he's
is
really
similar
struggling
to
right
like
now with
Jack
them,
or
and I rather keep Richaun over Andre, but Andre Drummond wouldn't be a bad
I would
second
love
option.
straight Drummond in a Kings uniform. And one last question is, have you gotten to know Monty McNair very well? I mean, like, or have you ever like had a conversation with him?
I haven't. I haven't had a chance to. I would say very few of us in the media have, only because of the whole COVID thing. I think recently, some of the guys from different outlets have had the chance to interview him more on the one-on-one basis.
Mm-hmm.
But the only access that we've really had is the initial press conference. I think the middle of the year one, and then I think it was the day after the trades happened, and then the most recent one, where I pretty much asked him if he thought that after the second 9-game losing streak, if if he ever considered firing Luke, and he said no. So I was shocked by it
Yeah,
for sure.
I they have a good relationship with each other. And Monte McNair, I was really impressed with what he was able to do at the trade deadline. Pulling in Daylon Wright, Maurice Harkless, and Terrence Davis. And I mean, look, he with his resume. This is his first gig as like the league GM, but he worked in Houston. And one thing I do know about him is he is an Ivy League graduate, Princeton to be exact, and he played football, I believe, as a wide receiver for them.
He did. He did. So he's definitely a jock per se, but he's also
Oh,
very
yeah.
smart. So
I mean, obviously, you have to be smart to go. You have to be pretty damn smart to go to Princeton.
right, right. So I do think he's a very smart guy. Whether or not he makes the right decisions, or if he made the right decision in keeping Luke, which I didn't agree with. But at
Yeah,
the end of the day, what I like the fact is that he's owning up to it and pretty much saying that's his guy. So we can no longer say that just because he inherited Luke, he had the option to can him and he didn't. So we have to now say Luke is Monty's guy. Plain
yeah.
and simple.
I just found this out a few days ago from like something that one of the pages I follow on Instagram said. Luke Walton actually has the second best wing percentage of all coaches who've coached here since they relocated to Sacramento in 1985.
Which is sad because it's a
Rick
losing record.
Allen's the only one with a winning record.
Right, which is a losing record for Luke, and it just shows a lot of the dysfunction that we've had the past 15 years, man, and it's very, very sad.
I would love to bring Rick Adelman back, but with him being 74, I mean, I think that's how old he is now. I just don't see him ever having a desire to coach in the NBA again.
No, I mean he's enjoying retirement. He would never come out.
No, and it's been a while since he coached Minnesota. I think that was his last stop.
Yep. Was it Minnesota?
Yeah, and
I
he
think
brought
so.
back. He coached Brad Miller for like on the third team. He coached Brad Miller in
That's right.
Houston and Minnesota.
Well, yeah, man. So hopefully the Kings make the right moves and they have a hell of a draft because they have a big decision to make. Obviously, you want them to go into the top four, right? Which they have like a 20% chance, I think. Um, I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, then you're going to have a chance to get one of the top 5 players in the draft.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, thank you so much for your time, Leo. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna be trying to be doing this more often. And I want you to know you're always welcome to come back on Crowns and Buckets. And I really appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Quinn. It's my honor, obviously being your first guest. We'll always remember this. I wish nothing but the best. I'm always here to give you advice if you ever ask for it.
Oh, thank you. That really
And
means a lot.
yeah, just keep working hard, man. Keep striving for greatness, and everything will take care of itself. It's a long process, but it's one that will feel like it was worth it, because if you put the work in, you'll start to feel the gratitude and just, you know, all the sleepless nights and the sacrifices you made to get to the point. And right now, you're at the very start of your journey. And again, I wish you nothing but the best, brother.
Thank you. Yeah, and I really appreciate it, and you'll definitely be, or we'll definitely collaborate again sometime before the draft.
Let me know, brother. Anytime.
Thank you so much, Leo.
Be good. Take care.
And Cowbell Kingdom. If check out his channel, Cowbell Kingdom, if you haven't yet, and subscribe to Crowns and Buckets, please. I'm really trying to get on Leo's level. And take care.
You too, brother.